Good morning, everyone. My name's Norm Horofker, and I'm the proud minister of this congregation, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax. This morning, Eleanor Egger Reynolds is our service assistant. Jessica Friesen is our music director. Marie-Claude Leroux is our director of religious exploration. She's upstairs with the children now. And this morning, Paul Galbraith is our technical director. Thanks to everyone. It's a great team. If you're not already receiving notifications from our church and you would like to receive updates on our activities and services, please send email to uuminister@uuch.ca, and we'll add you to our email listserv. So now, settle back and relax, and Jessica has some music for the season for our interlude. Before the service begins, I have a few announcements. The order of service for today was sent out over UU Info last night. It contains more detail on the following, and I encourage you to read all the announcements that are in there. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. It is such a frustrating time for all of us with COVID-19, with the situation continually changing and in flux. We're very anxious to get people back into the sanctuary. It makes a tremendous difference to the service, and I think to the life of the whole congregation. So you're welcome to come back to services in the sanctuary. You'll be asked at the door, if you haven't already been asked, to provide proof of vaccination. And if that isn't possible, we will have rapid test kits available at the door. So if you get here 15 minutes early, you can take a rapid test. And that's hopefully we're working to get enough of those kits available so that if you come on Sunday and you would just like to get a test, so that just put your mind at ease, that'll be available. So you no longer need to call ahead to attend services. There is no formal requirement for social distancing, although there's lots of room in the sanctuary. You are required to wear a mask while you're in the sanctuary. There's only one team meeting this week. A lot of meetings got moved up because of the holiday season. So this Friday, always held on the third Friday of the month at 1 p.m., there'll be a meeting in the church right here of the Saturday brunch team. The team lead for that is Kath Anthony. You'll hear more about this later in the service, but the collection we'll be taking up today and next Sunday as well will be used to purchase food and treats for the Christmas hampers that will be donated in cooperation with Canadian Mental Health Association Building Bridges project. More on that a little later. And now the big news. This is one of the busiest days of the year for me, and we're having two services today. Second service is at 7 o'clock tonight at Barley's House of the Blues and Ribs. It's our 10th annual, I can't believe it's been 10 years, our 10th annual Blue Christmas service. It'll be from 7 to about 8:15 or so, but you're advised to get there early. If you haven't sampled the food there, they have an amazing Filipino chef and kitchen staff, and they've got a mixture of Filipino dishes and I guess what we would call Canadian dishes. The food is excellent. There'll be wonderful music during the service from the after choir, from Jessica, and from our special guest, Morgan Davis. Morgan is one of the best-known blues musicians in Halifax, and he was our first presenter 10 years ago for Blue Christmas. So come out and welcome him back. Come early to get a good seat. The intention is to raise the spirits of those for whom the season is a mix of emotions. Hence the name Blue Christmas. And I've been told we may get a special visit from a special man, also known as Santa Claus. Don't want to miss that. Here's another important message. Your building committee has been working diligently for several months to finalize design to replace the deteriorating deck on the back of the church. We have a beautiful design for a new deck that'll extend from the ballroom right through to the kitchen, and it'll be fully accessible with automatic door inside and a ramp that'll go from the deck down to the backyard. It's going to be a great installation. We've received a grant of $13,000 from the Community Access Building Program, and we'll need to raise about an additional $20,000 because we will use money from our building fund, but we try to match that. So the official fundraising kickoff will not be until the new year, but I'm mentioning it now because some of you may want to take advantage of year-end tax deductions, and now is your chance. So if you'd like to make a donation specifically for the capital project to replace the rear deck and do that before January the 1st, please contact Marilyn Chenier, our treasurer, at treasurer@uuch.ca. And now, before we begin our service, I invite Margaret Galbraith to help us to acknowledge our relationship to this ancient land and to its peoples.
Good morning. We are meeting here today on and zooming in from the unceded ancestral land of the Mi'kmaq. As we hear more and more about climate-related disasters, the more we look back to a much quieter, relatively peaceful and abundant land that predated the coming of the Europeans. There is no longer a question of the changing climate, and particularly of the destructive nature of much of this change. Our snow a few days ago was absolutely beautiful, but the wild rain and wind last night resulted in floods and power outages that inevitably affect people in Nova Scotia negatively. Plus, there's no more of that beautiful snow today. We have always had changeable weather here, especially in winter, but we will get more and more of these changes with more snow, more rain, more wind, more resulting destruction. This is nothing when we see the huge swath of wreckage that was caused by tornadoes through the United States on Friday. Again, those parts of the continent have had storms and tornadoes before, but the sheer power and frequency of those weather events is clearly affected by our warming climate. There is good news. More and more people are talking about the issue, and there are a great many ideas out there about how to slow down the global warming. Many of the ideas are for individual actions, but there are many proposals that require government action. I can recommend a couple of books full of ideas of what our government should be doing. Seth Klein's book, The Good War, about the incredible transformation of the Canadian economy within just 2 years in the Second World War. And Ronald Coleman's What Really Counts, about what needs to be done with full cost accounting to create a sustainable and equitable economy. And after Christmas, the UUCH Climate Crisis Team will be hosting a series of talks about what we can all be doing for our planet. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Margaret. And now Eleanor Reynolds will read the words for our chalice lighting, and the following which I will light the chalice here in the sanctuary.
Good morning. This reading is adapted from the fourth sign of the zodiac by Mary Oliver. I know you never intended to be in this world, but you're in it all the same. So why not get started immediately? Belonging to it. There is so much to admire, to weep over, and to write music or poems about. Bless the feet that take you to and fro. Bless the eyes and the listening ears. Bless the tongue, the marvel of taste, and bless the gift of the community that we share.
Jessica will now lead us in our opening hymn.
The words will be on the screen like always. "124, Be That Guide. Be that guide whom love sustains. Rise above the daily strife. Lift on high the good you find. Help to heal the hurt of life. Be that helper nothing daunts. Doubts of friends or taunts of foe. Never strive for liberty, though they build the life should go. Be that builder trusting God, bitter through the test may be, though all ages they are right, though they build in agony.
Thank you. And now a time for all ages. This is about tears, children's tears of joy. Marie-Claude is, as we've explained before, upstairs with the children now, so that we're keeping the unvaccinated children separate from the congregation for everybody's safety. But she prepared some material for me for today's service. The subject of the service this morning, the overall subject, is tears of joy. And as we get older, it's often true that we're less likely to show our emotions, including shedding tears of joy. The kind of events that trigger tears of joy and the whole experience also changes as we age. And I'm going to explore that later in my reflection. For the Time for Children of All Ages, Marie-Claude, our Director of Religious Exploration, has selected a couple of video clips that just might put you in touch with your inner child, remembering what it was like to cry those tears of joy. The first is a young boy having a dream come true.
Okay,
I'm nervous.
we have some announcements to make.
What? I'm scared.
What are you doing, Andrew, June 25th?
Oh. Paul McCartney.
We're going to see Paul McCartney!
We are?
Yeah! Can you believe it? And- we are. And happy?
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what we're gonna do 6 days after that on
What?
July 1st? We just bought tickets. We're gonna go see Ringo Starr. In 1 week, you're gonna see Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr this summer. In 1 week, in 6 days. We're so happy. You excited?
We're so happy.
Is this like the best thing ever?
What do you think? Could you ever even imagine it would happen?
You're gonna see Paul
It's gonna
McCartney and
happen.
Ringo Starr.
What do you think of that? That's so amazing, huh?
What do you think?
It's awesome.
Tears of joy from a child. The second is a classic, puppy video with a young girl.
Make sure you wipe your feet.
Hi guys, how was school?
Good. Wait. You got no. It's a doggy.
What's wrong, Maddie? You're happy?
Who's that, Maddie? Who is that?
It's your new buddy. He came home for you today.
Early. To Ricky's face.
Give him a hug.
Why is she crying?
She's so happy that she's here. He likes this little jacket, Maddie.
Whoa.
Here, take this off. Go see him.
Isn't he cute?
Oh my god. Kevin.
He's a cute little guy, huh?
Kevin. She's been like whining and planning
Yeah.
every reason
Right?
about him.
Here, Georgie, here, I'll take your backpack.
And my shoes. Take my shoes and put them in your pocket.
Two different events, same response. It's interesting to note how in each case, people are drawn to comfort the child with a hug. And now I'm going to surprise Margaret and ask her to assist me while we take this special time to reflect on our joys and sorrows. It's a sacred time in our service. It's a time that we set apart to honor the many joys and the many sorrows that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Thank you, Margaret. I'll ask Margaret now to light one candle for all those who are here with us in our thoughts, who are struggling mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally, especially at this time of year. And we'll also light one candle for all the joys that are in the room, the big joys that come along only infrequently, and the little joys that we're blessed with every day, if we're able to see them, especially at this time of year. Is there anyone in the sanctuary that would like a candle lit this morning?
Could we light a candle for the people in the United States who have died?
I'll be doing that in a minute. Thank
Oh.
you. No, that's good. Thanks for the reminder. So each week I invite anyone who would like to light a candle to email me with the details. Mary Lou McDonald wrote, "Please light a candle for my friend Ann West, who is back in hospital with a second blood clot problem." Candle for Ann West. And Mary Lou asked for a second candle for her friend Michelle, an Alzheimer's sufferer who wandered off for 48 hours, but has been found safe. And I received this request. This morning, we light a candle for all those LGBTQ people who were lost or are recovering from conversion therapy. As Bill C-4, a bill to ban this practice of torture, received royal assent on Wednesday, and it became law on January the 7th. And as Jessica reminded me, in fact, I should have let you come up and do this, but a candle this morning for the victims of the tornadoes that tore across 6 states in the United States, centering on Kentucky and Tennessee. We're all watching the news come in, and it's likely there are over 100 people dead as a result of those storms. Later, when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, we'll invite anyone else to share a joy or a sorrow or have a candle lit if they would like to do so. And now Jessica will lead us in a reflective hymn.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Sing along with me. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric that is our community. And now I invite Eleanor, who has a reading for us.
This reading, Joy, is Such a Human Madness by Ross Gay. There's a scene in Paolo Sorrentino's film, The Great Beauty, where Jep visits the exhibit of an artist who has taken or had taken photos of himself every day of his life since he was about 4 or 5. It's thousands of pictures of this, 45-year-old guy, all hanging like quilts on the wall in the courtyard of some beautiful Roman building. As Jep looks over the photographs, his arms behind his back, he's overwhelmed. We see him seeing time passing in some utterly unequivocal way. The boy's mussed hair, the skinny teen, the newly facial haired young man, the what weariness as his true adult comes on. It devastates me. It's devastating because we know that Jep is seeing his own life. What remains of it, past, lost love, dead friends, the whole bit. He is seeing what I was going to write was the fundamental truth of his life. But that is a fundamental truth of our lives, which simply that we die, or everything dies. I dreamed a few years back that I was in a supermarket checking out when I had a stark and luminous and devastating realization in that clear way, not that, oh yeah way, that my life would end. I wept in line watching people go by with their carts. watching the cashier move items over the scanner, feeling such an absolute love for this life and the abundant fact of buying groceries with other people whom I do not know, like all the banalities, would be no more so soon or now, good as now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor, for that reading from an essay by the author and poet Ross Gay. As you read it, there was a word that I didn't use in my reflection that I should have, and that's the idea of being overwhelmed. And that's the idea of tears of joy, I think, that we try to remain in control, in emotional control, and not necessarily let our guard down. But if we're sensitive to what's happening around us, we can be just overwhelmed by the circumstances. One of the pleasures of ministry for me is reading poetry, something I didn't take much time to do in my previous life as an engineer. I suppose some of the manuals I read had some poetic content from an engineer's perspective. But this week, it's given me great pleasure to discover the poet Ross Gay. I highly recommend, if you haven't, that you check him out on YouTube for clips of him reading some of his poems, like To the Fig Tree on 9th and Christian, or the delightful Tomato on Board, from his book of poetry, The Book of Delights. This morning, I'm talking about tears of joy. But this reflection, like all my reflections, is really about living a good life. In this case, appreciating the beauty of our lives, even in the banality of a grocery store, to the point that we may be moved to tears. Children who've been raised in a safe and trusting environment can be moved to tears easily, as we saw in the video. Tickets for a personal hero, or the gift of a puppy dog is all it takes. As we get older, we're less likely to feel those deep emotions, or to allow ourselves to feel those deep emotions, or even less likely to express them in public. Our hearts get hardened, as they say. My thesis here is that living with a hardened heart is not conducive to living a good life. It may insulate you from some of the pain of life, but pain and joy are ultimately inseparable. Now, this hardening of the heart happens to different degrees in different people. And I'm not prepared to speculate why that is, but I do think it's related to issues of trust. I recall the words from the poem that was read last Sunday, Joy is Hard, by Reverend Joe Cherry. That poem reads in part, joy is hard. Joy requires us to feel safe enough, to be safe enough, to be open to vulnerability. To feel joy, you must be brave. Joy walks into the room after the space has been cleared of shame, cleared of doubt, cleared of self-recrimination. Joy is hard. Joy is hard, and joy is worth the hard work of preparation, preparing oneself and setting down all the defenses, all the shoulds, all the could-haves, all the should-haves, all the might-haves. Whatever the reason, nature or nurture, some people are inclined to shed tears of joy more easily than others. Remember the Chalice Lighting words this morning from Mary Oliver that Eleanor read to us. I know that you never intended to be in this world, but you're in it all the same. So why not get started immediately? I mean, belonging to it. There is so much to admire, so much to weep over, and to write music and poems about. My reflection this morning is about engaging with the world to the point that you are moved to tears. It was Albert Camus who wrote, "Live to the point of tears." I don't claim to understand all of Albert Camus' writings, but or to know exactly what he meant by that phrase, but for me it means that to live fully, you must belong to the world to the point that it moves you to tears. You must be in the world, engaged with the world, and vulnerable to the world. Tears of joy flow in many different circumstances and from many different sources. The example of children's tears are the simplest. What I'm hoping to explore here, though, are adult tears of joy that are linked closely to the realization of the beauty and the transience of life itself. I experience tears of joy as a whole body experience. My chest is seized with a kind of aching pain, and tears are only the outward manifestation of what is really a deep spiritual experience. C.S. Lewis described it this way: it is that of an unsatisfied desire, which is itself more desirable than any other satisfaction. I call it joy, which is here a technical term and must be sharply distinguished from both happiness and from pleasure. Joy, as C.S. Lewis wrote, has indeed one characteristic, and only one, in common with pleasure and happiness. And that's the fact that anyone who has experienced it will want it again. Apart from that, and considering only in its quality, it might almost be equally well called a particular kind of unhappiness or grief. But then it's the kind that we want. I doubt whether anyone who has tasted it would ever, if both were in his power, exchange it for all the pleasures in the world. But joy is never in our power, and pleasure often is. Here ends the quote, to which I add that joy in this context is not only not in our power, but it is an acknowledgement of our impotence in the face of the forces of nature, the forces of love, and the forces of life. The philosopher and writer David White encouraged us to start with a step that we don't want to take, the step that exposes our vulnerability. He talks about the limits of happiness, the superficiality of happiness. He says that happiness isn't a big enough word to encompass the emotions that we feel when we are truly engaged with life. In a moment of joy, you also experience sadness with an exquisite kind of beauty. And in that moment, happiness and unhappiness are irrelevant. When you're in that moment crying tears of joy, happiness or unhappiness are irrelevant. You're fully alive to the finite experience of life itself. Khalil Gibran wrote this: when you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you will find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is now giving you joy. And when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has given you delight. I've personally cried tears of joy at the most powerful moments in my life. I write this, I know it sounds strange, but at the death of each of my parents, both of whom lived a long and happy and productive life. I cried tears of joy at the realization of the beauty of a lifetime and the inevitable finality of death. But our lives can be greatly enhanced if we're able to extend this appreciation to the mundane, the grocery shopping, the smile of a stranger, the self-deprecating humor of an old man, the joy of looking closely at a grasshopper or a dandelion flower. All can bring you to joy, to tears of joy. Annie Dillard put it this way: "The world is fairly studded and strewn with pennies cast broadside from a generous hand. But, and this is the point, who gets excited about a mere penny? It is dire poverty indeed when a person is so malnourished and fatigued that they won't stoop to pick up a penny. But if you cultivate a healthy poverty and a healthy simplicity, so that finding a penny will literally make your day, then, since the world is in fact planted with pennies, you have with your poverty bought a lifetime of days. It is that simple." I want to close with what may seem like an odd choice for a reflection in December, but it's kind of gift to you on this strange winter day that we're experiencing. It's a poem about the simple delights of fresh peaches picked from a tree. It contains the line, "There were days we lived as if death were nowhere in the background." But I put it to you that it is the knowledge that death is in the background that makes the peach so sweet. If in your mind you can put yourself in this orchard, you may be moved to tears. The poem is called Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. "From blossoms come this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward the sign painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins comes nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches that we devour, dusty skin and all, comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days to hold the fruit in our hands, to adore it, then bite into it, the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to blossom, impossible blossom to sweet, impossible blossom. Amen." And now, to bring us gently back from that peach orchard to winter in Halifax, Jessica has a Christmas interlude for us.
So I've made a medley of different Christmas songs. My favorite thing to do. So I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Jessica, for that timely reminder for those of us who haven't done our shopping yet. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Our congregation has undertaken a special Christmas project each year for the past several years, a project led by our children. We assemble and donate Christmas hampers in cooperation with Canadian Mental Health Association. And here to explain is our Director of Religious Exploration, Marie-Claude Leroux, by pre-recorded video.
Good morning, everyone. As you're watching this, I'm upstairs with our children and youth, crafting and making festive cards with thoughtful holiday greetings. These cards are special because they'll be making their way into 31 unique hampers filled with goodies that will be donated to the local marginalized people and families who experience severe social exclusion at all times, though you can imagine how much more difficult it is this time of year. These hampers are part of an annual tradition between UUCH and the Canadian Mental Health Association Building Bridges project. For the past several years, the Saunier family have been doing the planning, the shopping, the assembling, and putting together all these hampers in a really festive way. That would be Troy, Danielle, and their kids, Kyla, Tristan, Destiny, Abby, and Jason. They all work together, spending hours in shops, finding thoughtful, fun treats and sweets for these packages. And it's become a tradition for the Religious Exploration Program to participate in making a card to be included with each one, done each December as part of our month of festivities that serve others. The offertory for the next 2 weeks will be gratefully accepted to help fill these hampers. We really hope that you can help. Thanks and enjoy the service.
If you'd like to contribute to the Christmas Hamper Drive, here's how you can do it. Please include a note that says Christmas Hampers. And now we'll have our closing hymn that speaks beautifully of the human condition. We laugh, we cry. Jessica?
So I need you to help me along with this one. I want to hear you loud. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die. We sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is the answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journeys as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to heart's imagination, freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of our child. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth. And we believe that growing is the answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then
we come together here to make sense of what we find.
There we go. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, may we finally see, even to question truly is the answer. Thank you.
Before I extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary, marking the end of our service today, these words, On the Brink by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved, all that we have ever been, stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy in this life that we share. So I thank you again to all who attended the service today here in the sanctuary by Zoom or by YouTube. I'll say goodbye to those who joined us on YouTube now as we end our live streaming. Don't forget, it's not too late to make plans to attend Barely's House of the Blues and Ribs for our 10th annual Blue Christmas service tonight starting at 7 p.m. For those who joined by Zoom, in a few minutes we'll return to sharing joys and sorrows, followed by our virtual coffee hour. Thank you again. The streaming service will now end.